Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Tanya, Lady T, and this is another edition of All Aboard. Let's get on this train. Well, listen, y'all, I wanted to come in real quick. I had a viewer. Hey, everyone, but I had a particular viewer that asked me to give my thoughts on the Ebola disease or virus, if you will. And I'm a type of person, I like to research. I like to know what I'm talking about so I can give credence to what's going on. And when it first came out, I have to admit I had never heard of such disease or virus. And so I did a little reading and research on it when it was, all over the news. And I had thought about doing a video on it actually, but was sort of apprehensive because when you don't know about a particular thing, I tend to stay silent. I'd rather be educated and see what the scientific community offers up before I give my 2 cents worth. But I can give my opinion, my feelings, and my thoughts on it. So my thoughts on it, just in case, right here at the front, one of the main questions that I've been hearing being asked in media is, should those 2 Americans have been allowed to come here, meaning back to the United States, for quarantine and or treatment? And unequivocally, absolutely, 100%, 300%, I say yes. These are American citizens. They went over there to aid, to help. That's just like if, my church is heavily involved in missions in different parts of the country, and they go over there to aid people, to assist, to talk about the goodness of God. And I would hate to think that they couldn't enter back into our United States for treatment of such viruses just because, they were infected in some way, form, or another. Now, let me also just say this too. Of course, I learned this in high school, and of course, when I went to college, learned even the more about it. For you all who do not know, well, let me just back up. Ebola virus, let me just start. As I went reading and went on the Center for Disease and Poison websites, again, all this is out there for people to see. The Ebola virus came upon the scene back in 1976. It is a virus that's normally known to be centralized in West Africa villages by way of monkeys and animals. This was a virus that was found amongst living livestock. It's also in the deep rainforests and tropical rainforest in those in that continent. So there is no known vaccine. They are, however, testing for a vaccine, but because or until the FDA approves anything, most, of course, vaccines have to be tried on humans, and it has not been. So they are in testing stage, they're in research stage for the Ebola disease. Now, I know we all have concerns about, is this an airborne type of virus? What's going to happen? Is it going to spread? And we have a right to ask those questions. Absolutely, we have a right to know that, or if we or our loved ones are going to be protected. What is our government doing about making sure that there's not an outbreak and all that? And those are very healthy concerns for all to have. But let me also bring something to everyone's attention if you're not familiar. Let me tell you, right here in the United States, the Center for Disease and Poison and all those conglomerates, let me tell you something. There are people who work with the most deadliest viruses known to man right here in the United States and actually globally. I think it's important that when something comes on the scene, that we have an opportunity to study it. We have an opportunity to suggest a treatment for it. Because here it is now, we have so many enemies, meaning the United States. That's where biological warfare comes from, because other countries will formulate biological warfare, strands of different types of disease and viruses to kill off our population in our nation. So anytime we have an opportunity to study and or quarantine someone in decency and in order, and that's what they did when they brought these two people back. They quarantined them, they suited them up, they took the proper steps to allow them back into our country, a specific airplane, a specific attire. But again, in fact, going back to what I was saying, the United States, the government, the different, again, the Center for Disease and, infectious diseases, environmental health, those type of conglomerates, they study that stuff all day long. There are some serious fatal viral viruses that they study and they have under quarantine every day of the week. So this is really nothing new per se. This may be a disease that we just haven't gotten a handle on as far as a cure. It's no different than when AIDS stepped on the scene. Everybody was afraid, but once more information became readily available to us, we could then, as a community, as a nation, could begin to make more intelligent decisions. Because, when we have that lack of knowledge, we perish. But once we gain knowledge of things, then that fear can be removed from all of us. But as far as a dialogue, as far as my thoughts and my opinions, all those questions that we all have are absolutely valid. Because you're talking about a disease or a virus that if you come in contact with it, that's 90% fatality. So that means if you contract it, you got a 10% chance of living. But oh yes, there is that chance. No different than cancer. Cancer affects so many people, and there's still not a cure for cancer. Because if you study that, I truly believe there are some cures for a lot of things. Obesity, diabetes, but that's a $1 billion business. And by law, a doctor or a pharmaceutical company, they don't have to cure you. But as an oath of a doctor, you do have to treat your patients. So do understand that, we have a bunch of diseases under quarantine in a controlled environment. Those people who work with those infectious diseases, they have to sign confidentiality statements. They have to suit up. There's a process of them entering into that lab and a process of them entering out of that lab. Some of them actually live at the lab because of some of those diseases and viruses are so brutal and fatal. So, again, my thoughts on it, number one is yes. I totally agree that they should be able to come here with their loved ones and be able to be treated in facilities where they have all the necessary tools and equipments to properly be treated. So yes, that's my feeling on that. And again, when you get to studying those type of diseases and Center for Control of Diseases, it's very interesting. I think it's important that we broaden our horizons and read up on those type of things so that we don't walk around in fear. There's a difference. You walking around in fear thinking something is going to jump off on you. That's a norm, regardless of whether it's a disease floating around here or not. But when you remove that fear and then began to gain knowledge and education, then again, we all can appropriately approach and have an intelligent conversation about these type of issues that we all face. Is just the human race. So anyway, that's my thought on it. Didn't want to get all deep and technical, but I did want to just express that, you know, this stuff is among us. And we have a scientific community that we hope are equipped to get to the bottom of some of these viruses, because God forbid one of our loved ones contracted, but because of fear and because we didn't want it to be, you know, around us, you know, our loved ones are going to continue to perish. Unfortunately, like I said, we see it with cancer. But how awesome is that? You know, look at Magic Johnson. You hate to use him as a poster child, but he is. I mean, he has the virus of HIV. But he hasn't had, it didn't blow into full-blown AIDS. So this man's been living his life and been living a good, pretty much healthy life because of research, because of things that professors, chemists have been studying to prolong people's lives who contract this virus. Because it don't necessarily have to be contracted from a sexual nature. It could be that you got a blood transfusion. It could be a bunch of anything. So, or unsuspected wives contracting it from their husbands, or vice versa. So, I think once education came in and once research, now you see people who are living much longer, healthier lives, if you will, because of research. Because we allowed, as a community, allowed the scientists to do their job to find cures or to at least find some treatments that prolonged our loved ones' lives. So again, I don't want to continue to babble on, but I think it's important that we all do our own research and see what is being worked on. See what, you know, what is the scientific community doing to prolong our life, regardless of what we have. You know, I'm diabetic, so I'm having to deal with the highs and lows of that. I would love for someone to be able to come up to me one day and say, okay, we've got a cure for sugar diabetes. But until that happens, I'm glad that we've got researchers in place that keep developing better medications that help your body rid itself of of extra sugar. So anyway, let's not be too fearful of things. I have to trust our scientific community to know that they know what they're doing. And so that's just my thoughts on it. So anyway, I hope everyone has a blessed week. And it's almost Wednesday, and we got about 4 more days to get it done. Then we'll be back at the weekend. And with that, y'all, may God bless you, and may the peace of the Lord be with you. Bye.